The Galactic Council chamber was engineered with a single philosophy in mind. Nothing here should ever feel threatened. The room was vast, circular, and deliberately bland to the point of discomfort. No sharp corners, no towering thrones. Every surface curved gently, designed to prevent territorial instincts from activating in species that evolved under harsh environments. The air carried no scent, filtered to neutrality. Even sound behaved differently here. Voices softened automatically, stripped of sharp edges that might trigger aggression. This chamber had ended wars before they began. Gravity was adjustable by seating zone, calibrated so no species felt dominant or diminished. Lighting shifted subtly to match each delegate's visual spectrum, ensuring comfort without advantage. Every detail whispered the same message. You are safe, you are equal, you are restrained. Humanity's delegation occupied the smallest section, not because they were physically small, but because they had asked for it. Humans preferred compact spaces, something the Council psychologists found curious but non-threatening. Ambassador Elias Ward sat at the center, hands folded calmly on the table, posture relaxed but alert. He listened. Around him sat beings who had never known peace without force. Massive arthropods with blade-like limbs folded neatly beneath their bodies. Amphibious entities whose skin shimmered with bioluminescent patterns of emotional regulation. Tall, skeletal figures wrapped in robes that hid weapons grown directly from their bones. Humans, by comparison, looked fragile. Soft skin, no claws, no fangs worth mentioning. Eyes forward-facing but expressive, constantly shifting with emotion. The Council had categorized them carefully over decades of observation. The species human. Threat rating moderate. Behavioral profile, cooperative, social, empathy-driven. Predatory instincts, dormant, suppressed. Ambassador Ward adjusted the cuff of his sleeve as a reptilian counselor droned on about border arbitration. His expression was polite, engaged, unremarkable. His heart rate remained steady, his breathing slow. Human calm had always unsettled the Council. The meeting had been going for hours. Trade routes, migration corridors, resource allocations. Humanity spoke rarely, and when they did, it was usually to propose compromise. The Council appreciated that. Humans made good mediators. They listened. They empathized. They avoided escalation even when provoked, which was why no one noticed the shift at first. The chamber doors opened without ceremony. That alone was wrong. Council protocol required layered announcements, identity verification, and consensus approval before any interruption. Instead, the doors slid apart sharply, their movement too fast, too abrupt for a room designed to suppress sudden motion. Black armored figures poured in. Containment authority, not council guards. The temperature dropped a fraction of a degree as suppression fields activated. The ambient hum deepened, barely audible, but enough to make sensitive species stiffen. Weapons remained lowered, but powered. Ready. Conversations died instantly. Remain seated, a synthetic voice commanded, stripped of inflection. This chamber is under precautionary lockdown. Several delegates recoiled instinctively. One avian species flared its wings before forcibly settling them back against its body. Defensive reflexes rippled across the room, only barely restrained by the chamber's dampening systems. Ambassador Ward stood. The motion was smooth, unhurried, entirely human. Precaution, he said evenly. For what? The authority ignored him. A hollow projector ignited at the center of the chamber, casting light across 100 alien faces. The image resolved into a human colony, one of the newer ones, recently established on the edge of contested space. Smoke filled the sky. Structures burned. Emergency sirens wailed before cutting off abruptly. Then came the screams. Children, adults. Human voices, raw and terrified, severed mid-sound as feeds collapsed one by one. The Council shifted uneasily. Several delegates activated privacy membranes over their eyes, unable or unwilling to watch. Across the display, bold crimson symbols appeared. Containment failure. A murmur rippled through the chamber, sharp and anxious. The authority's voice returned. Humanity has experienced a behavioral breach. Ward did not look away from the burning colony. Say that again, he said quietly. One human individual, the voice continued, was exposed to a Class X trauma cascade. Neural regulation failed. Emotional suppression disengaged. The display changed. Human brain scans filled the air, complex, chaotic, pulsing with activity far beyond normal parameters. Hormone levels spiked. Pain receptors shut down. Fear responses vanished entirely. Not overridden, but disabled. Council sensors lit up as they registered the data. This state, the authority said, is referred to in human military archives as predator mode. The chamber reacted instantly. Chairs shifted. Appendages flexed. Several delegates leaned back instinctively, as though distance might help. Predator. The word carried weight in every known language. Ward's jaw tightened. "You were told," he said, voice still controlled, "never to use that term casually." A council elder spoke, its voice a harmonic vibration that resonated through the floor. "Ambassador Ward, your species assured us such states were theoretical." "They are," Ward replied. "Most of the time." The hollow shifted again. Footage now showed a human figure moving through smoke and debris. The recording struggled to keep up. The human didn't charge blindly. He stalked, flanked, anticipated movement before it happened. Alien attackers fell, not in panic, in silence. "He is not defending," one counselor whispered. "He is selecting targets." Ward's fists clenched slowly at his sides. "When a human loses everything," he said, "something very old wakes up." The chamber lights flickered. Not because of malfunction, because the council chamber, designed to suppress aggression, was registering a spike it had never been calibrated to handle. Every human in the room felt it. A pressure behind the eyes, a tightening in the chest, muscles preparing without instruction. No commands were exchanged, no signals sent. Every human delegate rose to their feet in perfect, terrifying unison. The council's threat monitors screamed, and for the first time since its creation, the chamber of measured beings failed to keep the predators asleep. Silence followed the alarms. Not the engineered quiet of the council chamber, but a living, frightened stillness, the kind prey knows instinctively. The suppression fields strained audibly now, their low hum rising in pitch as if the room itself were gasping. Human delegates stood motionless. Not aggressive, not defensive. Ready. Ambassador Elias Ward felt it fully now. The shift he had spent his entire adult life ensuring never happened in this place. His heart rate had slowed instead of quickened. Peripheral vision sharpened. Every sound separated into layers. Armor joints clicking, bioluminescent skin pulsing faster, the faint tremor in the voice of the amphibious counselor closest to him. This was not anger. This was clarity. The authority commander stepped forward, weapon still lowered but trembling slightly in its grip. "Human representatives will return to their seats. This is a containment matter." Ward turned his head. The movement was small. The effect was not. The commander froze, not by force, not by threat, but by instinct older than language. Ward's eyes were no longer soft. The empathy that had defined every human interaction in this chamber had withdrawn, not vanished, simply shelved. "You brought armed containment units," Ward said calmly, "into a neutral chamber. You displayed classified trauma footage," he continued, voice level, "without consent. And you used a human military term," he finished, "designed to scare enemies, on allies." The authority's synthetic voice hesitated, a delay measured in microseconds but unmistakable. "This action was deemed necessary to prevent escalation." Ward smiled. It was not a friendly expression. Too late. Across the chamber, council members were discovering a truth humanity had never hidden, but also never demonstrated. Humans were not peaceful because they were weak. They were peaceful because they chose to be. The hollow display shifted again without authorization. The authority attempted to override it, failed. Human systems had already slipped past their firewalls with terrifying ease. Now the footage expanded. Not just one human. Dozens, hundreds, colonists who had survived the initial attack, civilians, farmers, engineers, teachers, all exhibiting the same neurological pattern. Predator mode was spreading, not like a disease, but like a response. A counselor with chitinous armor recoiled. "That state should collapse the mind." Ward nodded once. "In most species, yes." He gestured to the display. "In humans, it strips away hesitation." The footage showed coordination without communication. Humans moving through ruins, covering blind spots instinctively, sharing ammunition, redistributing wounded without slowing their advance. No roars, no celebration, only efficiency. One alien general on the council rose abruptly. "This violates every treaty." Ward cut him off. "No," he said softly. "What violated the treaties was the massacre that triggered this." The chamber shook, not from impact, but from the sheer volume of threat calculations rewriting themselves in real time. Humanity's threat ratings spiked past projections, shattered old models, and forced emergency recalibration. Threat rating unknown. Behavioral ceiling undefined. Council elders exchanged rapid spectrum signals, fear bleeding through even their most disciplined emotional dampeners. "You said," one elder vibrated, "that this state was rare." "It is," Ward replied. "That's why it has a name." He looked around the chamber. "You wanted to know why humans fear war," he said. "This is why." The authority commander finally raised their weapon, just a fraction too quickly. Every human head turned. Not rushed, not startled, just locked. The commander's system screamed warnings. Targeting reticles refused to stabilize. Predictive algorithms failed catastrophically, unable to model movements that had not yet happened, but would. Ward raised a hand. The humans did not move further. "This chamber," Ward said quietly, "has never seen a true predator wake up." He stepped forward, boots echoing once against the floor. "You built a room that suppresses aggression," he continued. "You assumed aggression was the danger." His gaze hardened. "You were wrong." The holo display zoomed in on the human who had first entered predator mode. The man stood amid the ruins, blood streaked across his face, breathing slow, eyes scanning the horizon with lethal patience. A child's voice crackled through the feed. "Dad?" The man froze, just for a moment. Predator mode did not shut off, but it bent. He turned, scooped the child into his arms, and something softened. Not weakness, but direction. Purpose sharpened instead of dulled. Ward pointed at the image. "That," he said, voice heavy with meaning, "is why we scare even ourselves." The council understood then. Humans did not lose their empathy in predator mode. They weaponized it. Every bond became a directive. Every loss became fuel. Every threatened life became non-negotiable. The authority commander lowered their weapon slowly. "What do you want?" they asked. Ward exhaled. "For you," he said, "to leave this chamber." The commander hesitated. "And for the council?" the elder asked. Ward turned back to them, the predator's focus receding just enough for diplomacy to reemerge. "For the council," he said, "to remember this moment." He gestured to the frozen delegates, the failed suppression fields, the recalibrating threat monitors. "You coexist with humanity," Ward said, "because we choose restraint." His eyes flicked briefly, dangerously, to the hollow of burning colonies. "Do not ever mistake that choice for inability again." The human sat back down. Just like that. Heart rates normalized, muscles relaxed, the chamber's system stabilized slowly, shakily, as though relieved. But nothing was the same. The council had witnessed it. Not humanity's weapons, not their fleets, but the thing beneath the kindness. And as the chamber doors sealed and the authority retreated, one truth echoed through every alien mind. Humanity had a predator mode, and the universe had been lucky that it slept. The council chamber did not return to normal. Light stabilized. Environmental fields smoothed out. Suppression harmonics settled into their prescribed frequencies. Yet the room felt different, like a forest after a predator has passed through. Not damaged, but irrevocably aware. The elders convened in a tight psychic lattice, their thoughts brushing against one another in patterns too rapid for speech. Where once they debated trade margins and migration corridors, now every calculation began with a new variable. Humanity, unbounded response potential. Elder Suresh, whose species measured time in centuries, broke the silence first. Her bioluminescent crests dimmed in a sign of humility rarely displayed in public session. "Ambassador Ward," she said, "the council requests clarification." Ward stood again, not abruptly, but deliberately. There was no trace left of predator mode now. His posture was relaxed, hands open, expression once more carefully human. "You may ask," he said. Suresh inclined her head. "Is what we witnessed Controllable? Ward did not answer immediately. Instead, he walked to the center of the chamber where the suppression fields had buckled under the earlier strain. He placed one palm against the polished surface of the dais. Control, he said slowly, is the wrong word. Several counselors stiffened. What you saw, Ward continued, was not a switch. It was a prioritization. He looked up, meeting Suresh's gaze. When humans enter predator mode, we don't become something else. We become less distracted. A murmur rippled through the chamber. You assume predators are creatures of chaos? Ward said. Teeth, claws, rage. He shook his head. Those are prey myths. The hollow display flickered again, this time with the Council's permission. It showed human history, not as a parade of wars, but as a pattern. Rescue operations in impossible conditions, firefighters walking into infernos, medics performing surgery under bombardment, parents lifting debris with shattered bones to reach trapped children. You've seen our wars, Ward said, but you've never truly examined our responses. The footage shifted, this time to data. Neural scans, hormonal spikes, cognitive narrowing. In predator mode, Ward explained, the human brain reallocates resources. Pain becomes background noise. Fear becomes data. Time slows, not physically, but perceptually. Counselor Threx, a massive avian entity whose species avoided close contact with carnivores, folded his wings tightly. And this does not damage you? Ward nodded. It does. The admission startled them. It burns, he said simply. It costs us years. Sleep, peace, sometimes sanity. He paused. That's why we don't live there. The chamber absorbed that. You asked if it's controllable, Ward said. The answer is yes, but only through culture, ethics, and restraint, not technology. He met their collective gaze. And restraint, he added, requires trust. The council elders recoiled slightly at that word. Trust was a luxury civilizations afforded only when survival was assured. Suresh spoke again, her voice softer now. The authority believed it was protecting the galaxy. Ward's jaw tightened. By terrorizing a species whose entire evolutionary history is built around protecting the vulnerable. He exhaled slowly. You didn't wake monsters today, he said. You woke parents. The council's psychic lattice fractured momentarily at that, shock bleeding through even their disciplined minds. Ward stepped back. Predator mode deactivated when the threat ends, he continued, but memory does not. He gestured to the human delegates behind him. Every one of us will remember this chamber, he said, and what nearly happened. Suresh straightened. What would humanity have done, she asked carefully, if the authority had fired? Ward did not answer with words. He tapped the holo control once. The display showed simulations, thousands of them. Scenarios branching faster than the council could track. Human fleets mobilizing not in fury, but in silence. Supply chains weaponized. Communications hijacked. Authority command structures collapsing without a single declaration of war. And at the center of every model, humans advancing only until the threat was neutralized. Then stopping. No conquest. No extermination. Just removal. The display went dark. That, Ward said, is why we fear ourselves. The council chamber remained silent for a long time. Finally, Suresh bowed. It was not ceremonial. It was instinctive. The council acknowledges a failure, she said, and recognizes humanity as a sovereign equal, no longer categorized as a managed species. A wave of relief passed through the human delegation, not triumph, not pride, just exhaustion. There is more, Suresh added. Ward raised an eyebrow. I assumed there would be. The council requests, she said carefully, a new doctrine of coexistence. Ward crossed his arms. Go on. Suresh chose her words with care. One that assumes humanity's restraint, but plans never to test it. Ward smiled faintly. That's the smartest thing said in this room today. The session ended not with a gavel, but with a shared understanding. As the human delegation departed, counselors watched them with new eyes, not fear but respect edged with caution. In the corridors beyond the chamber, Ward finally allowed his shoulders to slump. A junior diplomat approached him quietly. Sir, she said, are they afraid of us now? Ward considered that. Yes, he said. She swallowed. Is that bad? Ward shook his head. No, he replied. What's bad is when they forget why. He looked back once. at the chamber that had learned a truth it could never unlearn. Humanity was not the galaxy's strongest species, not the fastest, not the most advanced. But when the universe crossed a line, humans didn't roar. They focused, and somewhere deep in the galactic archives, a new warning was quietly, permanently recorded. Do not wake humanity's predator mode. It does not hunt worlds. It ends threats.